In this video, I bought 3 on-camera flashes on TEMU, compared them side by side, and made my friend really happy. Do you like the direct flash look? I've been taking photos for a decade now, but only got into flash photography recently. Gotta say, I'm addicted, especially when the flash is this tiny. This is the Reflex Lab mini flash, Type-C charging, metal body, and a very minimum look. You can put this on any camera and forget about its existence. Although it only has a guide number of 3, I thought it was still worth $50 because there was nothing else like this. It took other companies years to notice the popularity of this $50 little flash, so they got creative. Now you can get this mini flash with a built-in LED video light for $30 on Amazon or $20 on TEMU. You can also get the Godox IM20 and the IM22, which are not that different from this Ulanzi SL02 without the video light. But hold on, before you buy this, you should also take a look at this little beast. The Godox IM30 is $35 on Amazon or $21.25 on TEMU. These are not the only mini flashes coming out of this year, but they are the ones I find to be more interesting. So when TEMU told me to buy whatever photography gear and make a video, I bought them all. In addition, to make this comparison more relatable, I also bought a classic, the Godox TT350. Why? Because this used to be the most compact camera flash on the market before things like the Reflex Lab came out, and it offers some professional features that the other little ones doesn't. But most importantly, it can do this. So, are these compact flashes any good? What kind of result can you get from each of them? And which one do I recommend the most? You will know by the end of this video, but first, in Hans fashion, let's go out and shoot a model. Alright my boys, this is my friend Marisa. She's not a model, she barely takes photos as far as I know, and she works a 9-to-5 boring job, that's what she said. But I baited her out to this photo shoot for you guys, so please don't shy away from telling her how good of a model she is. The camera I used is my good old Olympus Pen F, and the lenses are the Lumix 12-35 f2.8, which is a 24-70 full frame equivalent, and the Laowa 6mm t2.1, which is a 12mm equivalent ultra-wide. The 3 flashes I tested are the Ulanzi SL02, the Godox IM30, and the Godox TT350 as the benchmark. I spent in total $116.76 on TEMU. These two are full manual flashes, which means they don't have TTL mode. The TT350 I got is for Fujifilm cameras, so no TTL either. And to be honest, I don't use TTL. I like to adjust my flash power manually, and sometimes a mistake can become a welcomed surprise. Have fun, that's the key. The SL02 is the most compact of the bunch. I really like how this little thing feels in my hand. Although it's entirely plastic, it feels really rugged and dense. There's not a single screw on the body except 2 under the hot tube. There are 2 batteries inside to power the flash and the video light separately. Yes, I took it apart because I was curious and stupid, so I had to buy a second one. It feels like a chicken nugget in my hand, which is weirdly satisfying. It also looks pretty good on my Pen F. I'm going to do the full image comparison between the 3 flashes later, but just look at these photos. Realize I mostly shot wide and close to Marisa. That's because this flash has a guide number of 8. What's the other two? 15 and 36. The Ulanzi SL02 is not exactly powerful, it surely isn't enough to beat the sunlight. However, for the size, this is totally usable at night, indoor, or even in a cloudy day. Here is one shot without the flash and one with the flash. I like both, to be honest, but the flash definitely makes the model pop. Here is another example. This little flash can make a night and day difference. Again, I'm not saying one is better than the other. Actually, I prefer no flash in this case. What do you think? The only flaw of the SL02 is the mount. Unlike the bigger two, this flash is held in place with only friction. There's no screw or pin to secure it. Like, it's okay tight on Sony hot shoes, but too loose on my Olympus. I fixed it with some electric tape, but I think a locking mechanism like this would be nice. Especially since this is also a video light that can be used for like vlogging or something. I wanted to put this on the coat shoe of the FX3 cage, but couldn't. There's one more issue we will address later, which is lens clearance. But first, let's take a look at the Godox I'm30. For Fuji users, this thing looks very familiar, doesn't it? Isn't this a replica of the ridiculously overpriced EFX20? Luckily, you don't have to pay over $500 for one with the original packaging. This Godox I'm30 is $21.25 on TEMU, $35 on Amazon, which is still a bargain. The build quality is solid. The scroll wheel is tight and clicky, unlike some other Godox models, and it looks pretty good on my Pen F. It uses two AAA batteries, which is fine. I still prefer Type-C charging, but fine. The images are good. I don't even know what to say. I underestimated the power of this little flash, so I kept overexposing her skin. But beam is more flooded than the SL02, so it's okay to pair the IM30 with a wide lens such as the Laowa 6mm, at least for vertical shots. I say okay doesn't mean I don't like the horizontal shots, it's just that the beam might not cover the model's entire body, if that's what you're looking for. But for such a compact light, I don't care, because now, the flaws. First, this logo needs to go. It's too big and bright. Second, the Godox I'm30 has slave mode, which means it can be triggered by other strobe lights. The problem is, the light sensor is located, let's just say, wrong. It's not at the front side like the EFX20, it's on top of the flash. I tried to trigger the IM30 with the SL02 on a pretty dark street, but IM30 failed to detect the master like 4 out of 5 times. The only way to guarantee it can be triggered is to point the light sensor like towards the master, towards the camera. But that always means pointing the light away from the subject. Plus, the sensor is just not sensitive enough. So, yeah. But as an on-camera direct flash, it's fantastic. That's the Godox I'm30. Now, the TT350 or the V350 if you get the lithium-ion battery version, this speed light is big and old compared to the other mini ones. However, this is the smallest professional speed light in my knowledge. By professional, I mean it has all the functions such as slave mode, high speed sync, TTL of course, zoom, this little reflector, which can come really handy, soapbox, is that what you call it? And most importantly, a pivoting head. This time, I'm not using any of the additional functions, but I did use the pivoting head in one situation, which shows you why you might consider this over the other two. On our walk, we found this set of stairs. It was almost pitch black. Here are a couple shots when I pointed the light directly at Marisa. No vibe. no good. Here are a couple more shots when I pointed the light towards the wall that was closer to us. It's horrible. Let me be honest, it's horrible. Here are a couple shots when I bounced the light from the other wall. That's something. Maybe I wasn't on the correct side. In this case, I pointed the light towards the same wall, but behind me, like that way. And it worked. It worked. This is what I was looking for. I used the entire building as a giant reflector and made the light source very gentle, soft, tender, which really fits the scene. That's why the TT350 is still a good flash I think every photographer should have in their arsenal. There are two more tests I want to show you before I give my final recommendation. None of them should be considered scientific, but I tried my best. First is power. I tried to keep the model well lit at 3 different focal lengths with the same camera settings. Here are the 3 flashes at 24mm focal lengths, so pretty close. The color of the Ulanzi SL02 is noticeably shifted towards magenta, or you can say the Godox lights are greener. Nothing you can't fix in post. Here are 3 flashes at 50mm focal lengths. I tried to keep the model equally big throughout the shots, but because that alley was so dark, I couldn't even see on my screen, so the composition might not be exactly the same, but you get the idea. The Ulanzi SL02 was at its maximum output. The other 2 were not. Here are the 3 flashes at 75mm focal lengths. The SL02 couldn't keep up anymore. The other 2 were still kicking. They were still not at their maximum outputs. So I blasted them at full power. The TT350 won, but not by much. In fact, the IM30 can almost beat the sun, which makes it a very capable flash in all weather conditions. The second and last test is the lens clearance test. Again, not scientific. Basically, I want to figure out what lens and camera body combination works with these flashes without casting shadows. And I can only test them with the camera and lenses I have, so don't ask me about any setups I'm not showing because I don't know. The first camera and lens setup is the FX3 and the Sony 24-105 f4G. Yeah, the FX3 takes photos and it has a proper hot shoe. Don't you know that? Lumix S9? I think this can represent a full-frame flat body with a normal zoom lens. First, the Ulanzi SL02. It completely failed this test. It casts shadows throughout the whole focal range of 24-105mm. Then I added a hot shoe extender, which can represent a normal full-frame camera with an EVF, like the Sony a7 IV or Canon R5, those kind of traditional DSLR body. The SL02 still casts a strong shadow at 24mm, but at 35mm it's almost gone. Next is the Godox IM30. Without the hot shoe extender, the IM30 is not much better than the SL02 because both of them sit very low to the camera body. The shadow only disappeared at 105mm. With the hot shoe extender, it's safe to use beyond 35mm. The TT350 has no issues throughout the whole focal range, and that, I guess, is one major benefit of a larger flash. The second camera and lens setup is the one I used for the photo shoot. The Olympus Pan F and the Lumix 12-35, which is 24-70 equivalent. I think this is pretty much the same size as, say, a Fuji X-E4 with the Sigma 16-50. Is that the focal length? Yeah, 16-50 f2.8. Standard zoom. And the process was the same as on the FX3, but I didn't need to use the hot shoe extender because both the SL02 and the IM30 didn't have much issue clearing the lens. The SL02 casts a little bit of shadow at 24mm, but at 28mm it's clean. The IM30 has no issues throughout the board, so it wasn't even necessary to test the TT350 on the Pan F. Yeah, it's safe to assume these flashes, especially these mini ones, are best to use on crop sensor cameras or full frame cameras with compact lenses, like those pancake lenses or just those very small like prime lenses. You can find those. Check out Sigma. Alright, the SL02, the Godox IM30, and the Godox TT350 or V350, which one should you get? If you have no experience with flashes and are not sure if you want to really get into it, try the SL02. If your camera setup is small, like a Ricoh GR or a Sony ZV-1 or Fujifilm X100, no matter which model, get the SL02. Because the Godox IM30 might still look a little too big on a small camera body. If you think this video light can be handy, although I complain about this mount, maybe you should get the SL02 if you know it won't be a problem. That means you have somewhere else to mount your microphone other than the camera's hot shoe, like if you have a cage that has another cold shoe. If you like to shoot wide, or you like those Y2K style, retro, digicam style photos, this SL02 might be a good tool to achieve that look. However, if you like telephoto, this little nugget is not for you because it isn't that powerful. If you love the direct flash look like me, the IM30 is perfect for that. If you want a very capable on-camera flash in the smallest package possible, the IM30 is the best you can get for now. For now. I don't know what kind of crazy flashes they're gonna come out, in the future, but this is golden for now. If you are looking for a retro-looking flash to pair with your film camera, this IM30 looks classic enough in my opinion, but just remember to tape off this logo, unless you don't care. Look, although the slave mode isn't exactly reliable, it is still worth owning as a companion flash. You just need to fumble with it, find the right angle for it to work. I'm definitely keeping this flash with me all the time. The TT350 might just be the perfect pair for the IM30. Or if you want to get into flash photography, like seriously get into flash photography, the TT350 is the perfect first flash. You can learn a lot with this $75 on-camera flash. Even after you become a professional, this is still a very capable and reliable tool in your arsenal. However, if your camera setup is relatively small, the TT350, although not a big light, can still throw off the balance of your camera, making the camera just top heavy. That's what I experienced when I was using this setup, especially with a smaller lens. Also, if you want to be casual and discreet, you might want to consider the other two, because this still screams professional to normal people, especially security guards. Conclusion. My overall pick as the most capable, most fun to use, and the best looking on-camera compact flash slash strobe slash speed light is the Reflex Lab Mini. I'm kidding. It's the Godox IM30. Of course it is. But I'm keeping all three. The TT350 is just a good professional tool, and the SL02 is the perfect flash and video light for my girlfriend's ZV-1. I'm going to use that setup in the next video, and if you want to buy these flashes, the links are in the description. Thanks for watching. I will stop talking.